What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Scott here today, and I'm bringing you a Skyrim redone build, the Templar. Now, originally we weren't going to make this video because we couldn't recover the Templar, and we still haven't been able to, but what we've decided is that we will recreate this build from memory and change it slightly. It's very similar to the original Templar build, and I hope you thoroughly enjoy it. This build is incredibly holy, and she's all about serving the divines and defending the people. The Templar will mainly strive to serve Auriel, and is super fun to play if you love purging Daedra via shield smashing. Remember that, like always, we do create a perk link for you that we've put in the description, and if you're interested in helping us grow this channel, please share this video around, especially if you enjoy all these role-playing builds that we keep making. We're most likely making some beast builds for the upcoming Deus Ex game, and we'll have a whole lot more Skyrim builds coming once the special edition drops in October. With that said, let's get into the backstory of this build. The Templar was born and raised in the Somerset Isles, and as a high elf living in the time of Skyrim, she will actually be hundreds of years old. This is relatively rare, and she's kept a surprisingly young appearance despite her age. Some say it's because of a constant practice in the arts of restoration magic, others say it's Auriel's blessing. Perhaps it's genetics, no one will ever know. The Templar was a newborn during the Oblivion Crisis, but the most important part of her life story begins when she joined a faction known as the Templar Order of Auriel. This Templar faction was exactly what you'd expect it to be. They despised the Daedra and the undead and committed time and effort to their eradication. They were also skilled healers and often received an income from tending to the needs of locals. The Templar started out in this order at the bottom and for a long time acted as an errand girl. She was trained regularly to use a sword and to heal, but spent most of her time doing very basic tasks, the kind of things that had to be done that no one could be bothered doing. Over time, however, the Templar earned her respect. She became better and better as the years went by. She was definitely the most consistent member. She was very helpful and definitely took time out of her day to go the extra mile so she could heal more people and learn more skills. It was around this time that the Thalmor started gaining larger prominence and gained more influence than ever. People really started loving them, the Templar Order of Auriel included. The Thalmor gained the support of the Order by telling them precisely what they wanted to hear. It was important that the foul Daedra were destroyed, and the Thalmor promised the Templars great amounts of funding and assistance in doing exactly that. The Thalmor took the Order on a journey into Valenwood and eventually elsewhere. It was there they sought to gain power, and the Templar Order got to hunt down and kill Daedra, necromancers, Daedra worshippers, and the undead. The Thalmor gained more favor with the inhabitants of the areas they sought to gain power, and the Templar Order got to hunt down and kill Daedra, necromancers, Daedra worshippers, and the undead. They cleared out all kinds of undesirables, even the occasional bandit gang who were causing trouble with the locals. The Templar herself was very pleased with the Thalmor. They gave them free transport, armor, and the sharpest weaponry. This happened for a long while until eventually the Templars were sent to Cyrodiil after the Great War had broken out. It was here the Templar Order of Auriel no longer hunted Daedra as much as they wanted to. The Thalmor started to manipulate them slowly over time. In the beginning stages, they were used to stabilize claimed areas. They would be stationed around the province, not often fighting, but using their healing powers to keep soldiers in good condition. They still would hunt the occasional Daedra in order to help out the local communities to stabilize the area, but eventually they changed from a defensive unit to an offensive one. The Templar was not impressed. Her order had become weaponized and made to fight alongside the Thalmor in the Great War. They were told if they did not obey the generals and commit their order to vital war efforts, they would no longer receive the same support. Essentially, they were forced to become soldiers. The Templar did not like this one bit and decided to leave. Her entire order would later crumble, slain in the battle soon to come. The Templar traveled north to the mountains near Bruma and lived a very outdoors lifestyle. She lived in a small abandoned house and decided to stay low profile for a while, remaining faithful to the worship of Auriel. It was here she received constant visions in her sleep and also worked as a healer for passing travelers. The visions she received were of way shrines, certainly those belonging to Auriel. She perceived this vision to be from Oriel and was told to head north. After these visions became increasingly persistent, she will head north, and here she is caught on the border of Skyrim. After escaping Helgen, she will find herself in an undesirable land, a place that will require a lot of attention and keep her very busy. She will carry out the true work of her order, banishing Daedra and the like. She will also try to do her best to help people, especially after seeing the tragedies of war. In terms of factions and storylines, you will definitely want to do the main storyline, the Dawnguard storyline, and also Meridia's quest. The Templar does not like working with a Daedra, however, will do so in the circumstance because it clearly involves destroying the undead, a common enemy. You can also do the Dragonborn DLC and join the College of Winterhold. Joining the companions is not recommended, however, if you can rationalize it, then it's up to you. Remember that even though you do not like Daedra, you will often be forced to interact with them. Just make sure you tell them how much you hate them. This High Elf female will benefit from the Highborn ability, allowing you to regenerate magicka really fast for 60 seconds once a day, and this is useful at all stages of your playthrough. You'll also start with 50 more points of magicka than the other races, and in terms of a stat spread, you'll want this build to have 50% health, 30% magicka, and 20% stamina. 50% health is planning to keep this build from dying, and 30% magicka is all you will need to cast your spells. This build only uses spells for undead enemies and also to heal herself. The 20% stamina has been chosen as this build uses a shield and will want to be able to bash and shield charge effectively and often. When it comes to standing stones, we actually get to use 2 of their effects due to the ethereal crown we're using. This time FudgeMuppet doesn't have to decide between the Atronach stone and the Lord stone, we'll be choosing both. The Lord stone will give the Templar 50 more points of armor rating and 25% magic resistance, and the Atronach stone will add another 50 points of magicka and also grant 50% spell absorption. The Atronach has the drawback of minus 50% magic regen, but that can be easily countered through enchanting. The gear for the Templar build comes mainly from the Dawnguard DLC. You've got a full set of Ancient Falmer armor, no helmet of course, with Oriel shield, the ethereal crown, and Dawnbreaker. The ethereal crown will let you have 2 standing stone effects at the same time, which is super powerful, and it also fits in with the pure righteous aesthetic of this build. Dawnbreaker, given to you by Meridia, is the perfect sword for this Templar character, and not only does it to do extra burning against the undead, but it also has a chance to cause an explosion that turns or destroys other nearby undead. This sword was forged in holy light and will burn away corruption and false life from the world. Oriel shield will store up energy from blocked attacks and can send enemies flying just like you've hit them with the unrelenting force shout. All your Ancient Falmer armor will be enchanted. You'll want Fortify one-handed, Restoration, and perhaps Block and Light armor. You can add more health, magicka, and or stamina to this character if you'd like as well. Find out how you're playing and what you need to address, and then enchant accordingly. The spells this build uses are Stendarr's Aura, Vampire's Bane, Sunfire, and the best healing spells available. Turn undead spells can also be very useful. When it comes to skills, the Templar will be using one-handed, block, light armor, smithing, enchanting, and of course restoration. This build didn't originally have enchanting, but we decided to add it to make the build even better. One-handed will be obviously used to slice your foes apart with a Dawnbreaker, and block will be used so you can effectively bash your opponents away and also shield charge them off a cliff. You can also have the quick reflexes perk so you can dash around your enemies in slow motion as they power attack you. Enchanting will be used to bolster all your gear as we discussed in the gear section, and smithing will be used for very similar self-explanatory purposes. By adding enchanting though, you will truly take the Templar to the next level. Restoration will help you keep you alive of course, and will also help you decimate the undead. We will be using light armor perk ranks, but not so many as we don't have a full set of light armor. Check the perk link in the description so you know how exactly we set things up. As you can see, the Templar plays very aggressively and has no mercy when it comes to purifying the lands of Skyrim. She loves using her shield more than you'd expect and will often shield charge into battle before bashing and slicing her enemies apart. Remember to charge up your shield as much as you can for the most epic bashes possible. You'll also be using restoration though, and in a way this allows you to play more aggressively, as this build can quickly back off and recover with healing spells if things do head south, then get straight back into the battle. That said, many restoration spells can be used before you charge in fearlessly. You can shoot off some sun damage spells at your enemies, you can cast a circle of protection, or surround yourself with Stendarr's Aura. Get creative and have fun with your strategies. Obviously, it will depend heavily on whether or not your enemies are undead. And that concludes another Skyrim build on FudgeMuppet. I really appreciate that you watched this video, and you will definitely want to subscribe if you do love awesome role-playing builds. The perk link we created for you is in the description description alongside our social media links if you'd like to check them out. My name is Scott, this was the Templar Redone, and I'll see you very soon with more sensational FudgeMuppet goodness.